What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here to do my post-game analysis video for the win over the Houston Texans. So we actually got another win on the season, which is lovely. We love to see it. Obviously, going into this game, there was really nothing guaranteed. And, if you recall, I said that, if we didn't win against the Texans, then it would be very difficult to predict a win going, the rest of the season, because they are just that bad of a team. And if we can't beat them, then who the hell can we beat, right? Now, we do have a quick turnaround. Obviously, Thursday night football against the Baltimore Ravens. That's probably going to be a giant shit show, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, we are going to recap this win over the Texans. We do get to savor it for a very short amount of time. So let's savor it a little bit. Now, to be clear though, this game, as good as the win is, like the fact that we actually won and didn't lose, and there were some bright spots. Mike Gesicki had a pretty good day. Jalen Waddle had a pretty good day. Javon Holland gets his first interception. The defense had a pretty damn good day, especially when you look at, the statistics, which we will get into, of course. But it was still hot garbage, really, especially on offense. And, Jacoby Brissett played. We'll get to that in a minute. But it really wasn't anything inspiring, if I'm keeping it real, because the Texans fucking suck. And it was just we didn't have a ton of penalties, but there were still mistakes, obviously turnovers. It was just messy, and it was basically a game between two shit teams trying to see who could be worse. And they just out-worst us. They suck more than we do, but we still suck. So, whatever. Either way, it's a win. Like to see it. I also want to go ahead and quickly update you guys on my where I stand as far as my season prediction goes, right? Because, my original season prediction was 6-11. And, through the first 9 games, I actually had us going 2-7, right where we are. Again, the 2 games that I mixed up and had wrong were the Patriots game. I thought we were going to lose. We won that. The Colts game, I thought we were going to win. We lost. So you flip those. And aside from that, though, Buffalo, Vegas, Tampa, Jacksonville, Falcons, and then Buffalo again, I all had losses. And then the Texans I had as a win. And so I'm glad we actually got it. But just wanted to update that a little bit, because as it turns out, as dismal as it is, I've actually been quite accurate when it comes to my evaluation and prediction for the season. So let's get into this though, because we do have quite a bit to talk about. So the Dolphins do improve to 2-7 on the season. I will be showing you at the very end, I will be showing the tankathon, the list, the current draft order. Because we did get some help too yesterday. The 49ers did lose to the Cardinals, so that improved the pick that we do have. Anyway, but we will talk about that at the very end. So the Dolphins do improve to 2-7. At least for now, we get to savor a victory. It's funny though, because we get the win and then we have to have a quick turnaround to go play the Baltimore Ravens. They actually do come to Hard Rock Stadium, so it is another home game. But if I'm keeping it real, man, I have a feeling that game's probably going to be a bit of a slaughter fest. So hopefully not. Hopefully we can manage to have a decent defensive performance and, keep it close. And you never know, any given Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever. But it doesn't look good, doesn't feel good. But again, we'll get to that when we get there. Let's focus on this. So 2-7, Texans dropped to 1-8. We won by a margin of 17-9. Obviously, only scoring 17 points and all the turnovers and stuff that we had, not good. So it's, again, there's good and there's bad in this game. It's just, you know, it's a giant mix of both, right? And again, it was just two bad teams playing against each other, trying to see who was worse. And the Texans, they obviously wanted to be worse, so they got it. But okay, let's break this down. So when it comes to our overall records, obviously now we beat them. We're 2-7. They're 1-8. That's a positive. You know, we're not the worst team in the league, at least not as of right now. So that's a positive. When it comes to total yards, they did beat us in that category, our 262 to their 272. So, you know, that's a loss for us, but we did win in the passing yards, our 215 to their 199, so that's a win. We lost in rushing, though, our 47 to their 73. And that's especially bad, though, considering the fact that the Texans were one of the worst rushing defenses in the league up to this point. And we even finally, we'll get to this in a second, we even finally got Myles Gaskin 20 carries, but he had like a 1.7 average, so obviously not good. Our yards per play, we lose in this category. They beat us. They had 4.1. We had 3.6. That's just fucking terrible. Like, you can't be 3.6. You want to be at least 4 yards per play. But you like it if you can get up to 5 and 6. The best offenses in the league are going to be able to start, you know, pushing 5, 6, even 7 yards per play. Obviously, we're not even close to that. When it comes to the turnover battle, overall, we actually did lose the turnover battle. Because we obviously had 5 to their 4, but we had 3 fumbles, they had 1, so we lose that category outright. We did technically win the interceptions battle, 2 to their 3, but again, we lose the overall turnover battle, our 5 to their 4, which is pretty outstanding that we actually even won this game, because again, there were so many chances that we gave the Texans to come back and win this game. They just were like, no, you know, we want to lose more, so we're going to have more penalties and shoot ourselves in the foot and turn over the ball a lot. And it wasn't just that, though, too. You could tell that Tyrod Taylor actually, you know, exhibited a fair amount of rust because there were a number of occasions. There were at least 2 occasions that I can remember off the top of my head, including the Javon Holland interception, where if he was just more accurate with his ball placement, then he likely would have had touchdowns. And it's not in the statistics, but Danny Amendola threw a pass as well that would have been for Brandon, that was targeting Brandon Cooks. And if he just had better placement on his throw and actually put it up over the defender and, you know, got it to drop down into Cooks' hands, that likely would have been a touchdown. So there is plenty of reason to say and to suggest that the Dolphins could have lost this game. The Texans actually could have won, and we won this game off of the Texans' mistakes and fuck-ups, miscues, drop balls, you know, whatever, just as much as we won the game. So unfortunately, that's, you know, it's hard in the grand scheme of things. It's hard to take a positive out of it because, you know, we barely beat a super shitty team and we're obviously still not very good ourselves. But there are at least some positives to take away. And when we get to the league standings, it's actually mostly positive. So we'll try and just relish it for as long as we can. We were 56% on third downs, which is good no matter what, right? Like, that's always a good place to be each and every week, so you like that. But we also did win in that category to their 35%. And we win in time of possession, our 31-44 to their 28-16, and we won in penalties, our 2 to their 8. Now, we're still one of the most penalized teams in the league, unfortunately, but it was nice to see that we only actually had 2 penalties on the day. We weren't very penalized, and, you know, particularly with the offensive line, as bad as they were, and as many pressures and shit as they gave up, sacks included, they didn't have any penalties, at least, or not really, nothing that, you know, consistently killed drives like we're normally used to seeing. Instead, today, they just got beat a lot, surrendered over 20 pressures and a few sacks, etc., etc. So, you know, they found a way to make up for that in a negative way, but, you know, it is what it is. And like I said, we take what little bits of good that we can. But on this channel, we also don't ignore the bad because we're not here to spin certain narratives. We are here to look at the at the facts objectively. So Jacoby Brissett, because he did play. Now, real quick, I do want to say something about that. Look, Tua was on the sideline. Yes, his finger may have been a little swollen and whatever. It was, you could see it, but he, he warmed up in practice. I mean, they didn't make him inactive. So if you think that he's ready and good enough to play the game at all, obviously that would be for an injury reason to Jacoby Brissett or whatever, then why not fucking start him? But he was on the sideline throwing. He looked fine. He apparently was, warming up with Brissett between each and every series. Like, I think, if I'm being honest, I think they're jerking the kid around a bit. Again, I think that this is because going into this game, it was, oh, Tua, you have a 9-game audition to prove you're the guy, even though I personally don't believe that anything he could do would matter. I think that they're out on him one way or the other, all the way up to the owner. It was just Brian Flores at the beginning, right? Because it was Flores and Herbert, or Flores that wanted Herbert, and he's been the one pounding the table for Watson. But at this point, I think, even Stephen Ross has been convinced that he's not going to be the guy. And I really don't see Tua being a Miami Dolphin for much longer. Unfortunately, it's looking like the writing on the wall is going to be that. And that'll be yet another way in which this Dolphins organization, unfortunately, proves me right about one of my predictions. Now, again, that hasn't come to fruition yet, so hopefully that's not the case. But with everything that's gone on and so on and so forth, it seems to be that. And to me, this just reeks of like pushing the narrative about, oh, he's fragile. And look, I was concerned about his injury history 100%, especially because I knew that they weren't going to put a fucking brick wall in front of this kid and he was going to get battered behind the shitty offensive line, especially with no run game, etc. and fragile ass wide receivers. However, again, when you take everything into full context, the way that, he treats Tua behind the scenes, again, and look, as soon as one of them two ends up leaving the organization, whether it's Flores or Tua, those bombs are going to be dropped. So, I know I've alluded to it. Reason's alluded to it. He's the one that, has the information originally, so I'm going to let him do it first. But once those bombs come out, people are going to see, bro, like, this dude's a douchebag. He's an egotistical asshole, and he's really treated Tua like shit. The way he benched him, inserted him, blah, 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 blah. He's been Anyway, it's just more of that to me. And I believe that, bro. Like, this dude is literally, because to me, Brian, and look, I want to say this, actually, add this on, because I've been one of the people who's been saying that I feel pretty confident that after this year, and I've been saying it for a while, even in the context of if and when this rebuild comes crumbling down and collapsing in year 3, which it has, that I think Brian Flores and Chris Grier are going to be fired together at the end of the season for the dumpster fire that results. And I still think that has a pretty high probability of being the case. However, with the way that things have turned out, especially since they didn't get Deshaun Watson before the trade deadline, I feel as if that there is actually a substantial probability at this point that Brian Flores and Chris Grier remain, and in part because Stephen Ross is going to say, well, to save your job, you have to go get Deshaun Watson in the offseason. And I think, to me, with knowing that Brian Flores is a liar, an arrogant, egotistical asshole that wants everything to be his way or nothing, with the way that he's treated not just Tua, but a bunch of players, Kyle Van Noy, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Tunsil, all of these guys, right? And with the way he's never wanted to, etc., to me, I feel like this is just a way for him to low-key push the narrative that Tua's not the guy for one reason or another. And, it reeks of that to me. You know, people are going to hate on that opinion and that viewpoint and that analysis, but it seems pretty obvious. The dude has been setting him up for failure from Jump Street. He wants Watson, and this is a way that he can low-key without, you know, making it super obvious, blatantly obvious, even though I think it is, that he's just trying to fucking... Because, again, at this point, and now I think there's a high probability he doesn't get played against the Ravens on Thursday night, which, you know, but either way, it's a lose-lose situation for Tua going into this game. Because if he doesn't play, then there's going to be the narrative, oh, he's too soft, even though he wanted to play against the Texans, and the offense is clearly a fuck ton better with him in. If he doesn't play, then the narrative is going to be, oh, well, he's injury prone and he's weak and he's fragile and all these other things, right? But if he does play, there's almost no chance this team wins against the Ravens, period. And I actually think that it's probably going to be a slaughter fest. And while he might make the offense look a bit better than what Brissett would, he doesn't stand a fucking chance. So when he goes in and plays in that game and loses to the Ravens and probably in a fucking beatdown, well, then he's going to have the negative narrative that comes from that. So it's a lose-lose situation for him no matter what. And, you know, he's down to 8 games now for his supposed audition to prove he's the guy, even though that's not going to be, no matter what, it's not going to be enough. Like, he's getting fucked from every angle, and it just sucks and it's despicable. All right. Enough of that. Let me continue on. Jacoby Brissett, I did want to put that in here, though, because I had some thoughts and feelings on it, and I wanted to get my perspective out there. So, Jacoby Brissett went 26 of 43 for 60.5 completion percentage, 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a 64.5 passer rating. He didn't play very good. Jacoby Brissett sucks. That's all it is, period, bottom line. Tyrod Taylor, actually, surprisingly enough, and especially considering the fact that he has historically been a Dolphins killer with like a 112 passer rating. He was like something like 6-2 or something like that. 10 touchdowns, no interceptions. Well, all of that got broken in this game, in large part, though, because of the fact that he was clearly rusty and he was missing some throws. Again, this game actually could have been way different. If Tyrod Taylor just didn't miss a couple of throws, he would have had at least one less interception, at least, and a couple touchdown throws, and they might have actually even won the game. So, you know, that definitely plays into it, but and then the defense plays into it as well. So, you know, like on the Jerome Baker interception, it was a really heads-up play by him. But it's funny because, just real quick side note, when I made the video last year about all of Tua's interceptions and his would-be interceptions, Tua had a play just like that last year. He just got lucky in his set of circumstances, because the difference was it was super slim. But he did the same thing. He was rolling out to his left because of pressure, etc. He just went to throw the ball away. You know, and it was just some light toss, some little throwaway that he thought was going to end up going out of bounds. But in both cases, there happened to be a defender right there that caught the ball for the interception. The difference is that with Jerome Baker, Tyrod Taylor didn't luck out, because Jerome Baker, he did actually step out of bounds, but he was aware enough and quick enough to get his foot back in bounds before catching the ball. And then when he caught the ball and secured it, he kept both toes in bounds and was able to secure the catch in bounds. Okay, but the difference was for Tua, when he threw it, the defender had like his pinky toe on the chalk, and so it didn't count. It got called back because he was out of bounds, right? But that was one of Tyrod Taylor's interceptions. In his case, he didn't luck out. It is what it is. It turned out the way it did. The defense played a large part in that and why we kept them to 9 points and made Tyrod Taylor have a hard day. But it was also in large part because of their mistakes and their, you know, penalties, bad decision making, drop passes, miscommunication, whatever it was, right? We won just as much because of all of those factors as because of the fact that we put up 17 points on offense, which obviously is not very good, and our defense played as well as it did, statistically at the very least. Anyway, Taylor was 24-43, 55.8% completion percentage, 240 yards, 3 interceptions, and a 42.8 passer rating. Rushing, Myles Gaskin led the way, 20 rushes, 34 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 1.7 average. Phillip Lindsay led the way for them, 8 rushes, 28 yards, a 3.5. Tyrod Taylor added 3 for 23 yards and a 7.7. David Johnson, 4 rushes, 11 yards, and a 2.8. Receiving, Jalen Waddle led the way, 8 for 10, 83 yards. Mike Gesicki, 4 of 8, 54. Durham Smythe, 2 of 2 for 27. Myles Gaskin, 6 of 6 for 23. Mac Hollins, 3 of 6, 22 and a score. Kirk Merritt, 1 of 3 for 13. Adam Shaheen, 1 of 2, 11. Albert Wilson, 1 of 2 for 11. Brandon Cooks led the way for them, 6 of 13 for 56. Danny Amendola, 3 of 7, 49. Chris Conley, 2 of 3, 38. David Johnson, 3 of 5 for 29. Nico Collins, 3 of 3 for 25. Anthony Auclair, 2 of 2 for 23. Let's just breeze through this because I've done enough talking, given you enough of my evaluation, so let's just breeze through these statistics. Jerome Baker led the way, 5 solo tackles, 2 assisted with an interception and a pass defense. Eric Rowe, 5 solo, 1 assisted with a forced fumble. Byron Jones, 5 solo, 1 assisted and a pass defense. Nick Needham, 4 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss and a pass defense. Andrew Van Ginkel, 4 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Elandon Roberts, 3 solo, 4 assisted. Brandon Jones, 3 solo, 3 assisted, and a fumble recovery. Xavier Howard, 3 solo tackles. Emmanuel Ogbah, who had a really good day as well, 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defense. Adam Butler, 2 solo tackles and 2 passes defense. Jalen Phillips, 1 solo, 1 assisted with a half sack. Javon Holland, 1 solo, 1 assisted with an interception and a pass defense. Justin Coleman added an interception and a pass defense. Now, this is a bit nitpicky when it comes to their tackles. I normally like to have 40 solo and 25 assisted. 40 solo tackles, mostly because that tells me that, you know, they're actually making their tackles. Now, obviously 39, they were right there, so that's super nitpicky. That's not a big deal. I would like the assisted tackles to be up more around 25, because then that tells me that not only are guys like actually, you know, making their tackles initially, but then they're also getting additional players to the football, getting hats to the football, corralling it and getting the guy down. But again, it's nitpicky because when you look at this overall stat line, it's pretty phenomenal, right? We had 5 sacks on the day, 4 tackles for loss, a forced fumble and a fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, and 8 passes defensed. Which that's the one category we actually lead the league in, which you will see when we get to our league standings. Tavier Thomas led the way for them, 6 solo tackles, 2 assisted. Neville Hewitt, a familiar face, 5 solo tackles, 4 assisted. Kamu Grugier-Hill, another familiar face, 5 solo, 3 assisted with a tackle for loss and a forced fumble. Eric Murray, 5 solo tackles, 3 assisted with an interception and a pass defense. Desmond King, 4 solo tackles, 2 assisted. Terrence Mitchell, 3 solo, 1 assisted with a fumble recovery and a pass defense. Jonathan Greener, 3 solo with a tackle for loss and a pass defense. Jordan Jenkins, 2 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Roy Lopez, 2 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a fumble recovery. Jacob Martin, 1 solo, 2 assisted, 1 sack, and a forced fumble. Jaleel Johnson added 1 solo, 1 assisted, and a tackle for loss. Malik Collins, 2 assisted tackles with a half sack and 1 interception with a pass defense. Ross Blacklock, 1 assisted tackle and a pass defense, and Kevin Pierre-Louis added in a fumble recovery. And overall, and this is where I want to see our total tackles overall on a week in, week out basis. 40 and 31. That's great. They obviously also had 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and 5 passes defensed. In the kicking game, Jason Sanders was 1 for 1 on his field goal, long of 42, 2 of 2 on his extra points. Kaimi Fairbairn, 3 of 3 on his field goals and long of 40. Michael Palardi in the punting game, 5 punts, 41.4 average, 3 inside the 20 and a long of 50. Cameron Johnston, 5 for 47 average, 3 inside the 20 and 58 long of 58, excuse me. Kickoff return, Jalen Waddle. I really hate that they have 2 of their best, youngest, and most promising players on kickoff and punt returns, but Jalen Waddle is doing kickoffs. He had 2 for 23.5 average, along a 25. Tremon Smith had 1 for 18 for them. Javon Holland had 3 punt returns for 10.3 average. He did better this week than he did last week. For a long of 15. Desmond King had 1 for 2 yards for them. All right, now let's get to the league standings because there are some changes, obviously. And when you see here, it's actually mostly green. There are some red arrows in here. We did, have some drops in a couple statistics, but for the most part, it was actually an improvement in damn near every category, especially on defense. So, offensively, we now have 2,677 yards on the season. We actually move up from 27th to 24th. We do have a decrease in yards per game, though, which is obviously not good. We don't want to see that. We go down from 301.9 to 297.4, and we remain 30th in the league. So obviously, our league standings are still not very good because we're still not a very good team. But we do like to see the green. In total passing, we have 2,167 on the season, from 21st up to 16th. And we did actually have a very marginal increase from 240.4 to 240.8. That is good, though, for a jump from 25th to 22nd. In total rushing, we have 676. That's unfortunately a drop from 27th to 29th. Rushing yards per game, we dropped again a little bit here, 78.6 per game to 75.1, from 30th back down to 32nd. In total points, we're at 155. That is a marginal increase from 27th up to 26th or 24th after ties. But we do have a tiny marginal decrease in points per game from 17.3 to 17.2. But it is good for a slight marginal increase in league standings from 29th up to 28th, 27th after ties. Defensively, and again, this is where we saw the most improvement. We were giving up 406.9 yards per game. It is down to 391.9 after this. We'll see how that fares after this next game. Unfortunately, I feel like we might jump back up over to 400 after playing the Ravens on Thursday night, but that moves us from 31st up to 30th. Passing yards per game, it's down from 303.8 to 296.7. We do remain at 31st, though. There was no change there. Rushing yards, we dropped from 115.8 to 111 even, which is good for a jump from 18th to 17th. Points per game, there's a little bit of a decrease there, 29.1 to 26.9. That's good for an increase from 29th to 27th or 23rd after ties. Takeaways, obviously we had a bunch in this game. We had 4. So we increased from 9 to 13 on the season. That puts us up from 15th to 12th or 6th after ties. Interceptions, we double them. We doubled our season total from 3 to 6. That puts us from 27th up to 18th, 7th after ties. Fumbles, we got another one in this game, going from 6 to 7 on the season. That keeps us at 4th overall, but 3rd after ties. Sacks, we went from 12 to 17 because we got 5 there. We got a bunch. That's good for a jump from 29th to 22nd or 9th after ties. Passes defensed, this is the one category which we actually lead the league. We went from 40 to 48 after we got 8 in this game. Good from a jump to 2nd to 1st. Third down percentage, though, we still remain 31st in the league, even though we did have a slight decrease from 50.9 down to 48.8. So it is what it is. But those are our league standings. And again, it's mostly good as of right now. I'm a little concerned how it's going to look after Thursday night, because I'm pretty sure our offense is going to be anemic and our defense is probably going to end up getting blown out by that fucking, Ravens offense. I just don't think we're going to be able to contain them. We'll see, though. We'll see. But for now, we do get to, again, like I said, relish in a lot of the positives that we got to take out, at least from this week and from this game. Another one is key points and analysis. Did we win? Yes, we did. Here's the the drive-by-drive breakdown. Now, again, it wasn't very pretty, but we did get the win. Dolphins receive the ball to start. They go 3 and out on their first drive. Then Texans throw an interception. Dolphins get a touchdown after 12 plays, making it 7-0. Texans go 3 and out. Dolphins interception after 2 plays. Texans punt after 6. Dolphins fumble after 5. We move to the second quarter. Texans get a field goal after 7, making it 7-3. Dolphins go 3 and out. Texans punt after 6. Texans then get a field goal after 4. The reason why they got the ball back is because that's where Javon Holland fumbled the punt, and they recovered. The Texans did, so then they get a field goal, making it 7-6. Dolphins then get a field goal after their own after 10 plays, making it 10-6. Texans interception after 2 plays. Dolphins touchdown after 4, 17-6. Texans then end the half after 1 play. We move to the third quarter. They receive the ball. They throw an interception after 5 plays. We then answer with an interception after 3 plays of our own. Texans then go 3 and out. Dolphins punt after 14 plays. 14 plays, and we only went 47 yards on that drive just to have to punt. I mean, it's pretty terrible. Texans then get a field goal after 14 plays of their own, making it 17-9. Obviously, we know that's where the score ended. Dolphins then fumble after 8 plays. Texans take 5 plays to punt. We then punt after 6. Then they fumble after 2. We go 3 and out. They end the game after 4 plays. Thankfully, there were really no injuries or anything in this game, so there's no injury watch. Now, that's not to say that we aren't getting injured. Overall, we've had some injuries in practice and stuff. Actually, that's not true. Greg Mance actually got injured in this game, I think with like an ankle injury. He had to come out, and Austin Ryder went in. So there was the one injury in this game that I can recall. But other than that, we've stayed pretty healthy, so that's good. Real quick, I do want to pop over here to Tankathon, like I said, because I do want to, keep an eye on this for the remainder of the season. So after we get the win, we do fortunately not move up the board, because if we would have lost to the Texans, they would be 2-7, we would be 1-8, and we would be in second place. But as it stands, we do remain in third place. We don't drop any further than that, at least for right now. So that still sucks. We are still giving the Eagles a top 5 pick as it currently stands. But with San Francisco's loss, they are now 3-5. And that gives us currently a top 10 pick. We'll see how that plays out. Unfortunately, I just have a feeling that our pick is going to end up being top 5, the one that we give to the Eagles. And I think by the time the season's over, they're probably going to end up somewhere like down here. And we're going to be picking in the mid-range, possibly even somewhere in here if they somehow manage to sneak into the wild card. But we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we want our pick to drop, theirs to go up. But again, just another way in which this organization did something stupid and foolish because they were arrogant and thought that they were going to be a lot better than they were, even though there is, tons of reason to believe that this was going to be the result. Again, if you've been watching my channel, I have been, going through all of the reasons why this was going to collapse. And it's unfortunate, but it's, it's been true to this point. So it shouldn't really be a surprise, but that's just another thing that as Dolphins fans, we have to deal with when it comes to ineptitude with this organization, because they obviously traded away our pick when they moved up to go get Waddle, and who they don't even use properly, and so on and so forth. So it is what it is. That's what we got to deal with. But again, to wrap it up on a positive note, we did get the win over the Texans, so let's savor it, relish it, enjoy it for at least the next couple days until we have to play the Ravens on Thursday night in front of the entire country and the entire world, because that's the only game that gets played. So with that, I am going to get out of here. Before I do, make sure you check out the Rave On Sports app, the new fan-driven sports app for all of your sports, NBA, football, whatever. They're trying to enhance your game day experience with live play-by-play coverage as well as live chats with other fans and content creators like myself. With that, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.